Hello YouTube. Please consider this video to be a continuation of my investigation of the mysteries of the underwater humanoids in the Siberian Lake Baikal. But there is more that I'll tell you. It's a fascinating area. We're speaking about Buryatia, officially the Republic of Buryatia. It's a Russian republic, and it's located in the Russian Far East. To its north lie Irkutsk Oblast and Lake Baikal, the deepest lake in the world. The Trans-Baikal Krai, or territory, is to the east, Tuva to the west, and Mongolia to the south. Its capital is the city of Ulan-Ude. It has an area of 351,000 square kilometers with a population of just about 1 million people, home to the indigenous Buryats. There have been a number of encounters, I would say many, with unidentified flying objects in Buryatia. And here are just a few of the most striking episodes. And you can find more in my other videos, but I think you'll like these ones too. For example, the 1959 Tu-104 disaster. You see, and in that year, the Tu-104 aircraft barely appeared on passenger flights. The first few of the aircraft units were transferred to the Irkutsk Aviation Squadron. That's what Sharonov, one of the first pilots to fly this Tushka, Russian slang for the aircraft, here's what he said. Here's what he told. It happened in July of 1959. The airplane was supposed to land at Irkutsk airport. There were either athletes or military personnel on board. Someone famous, I don't remember exactly. Therefore, the dispatching service was put into this special mode of operation. And then on the air, there's this sound, an unidentified object is moving towards us. Round, a glow is coming from it. Pass it on. And then there is interference, and the airplane disappears from radar. Did it fall? After a few seconds, we hear, God, how scary. God, it's scary. Do you see that? Do you see them? And again, the airplane disappears. And the last time what they heard was this: I see the airport, I'm going to land. There was no airport there. The airplane was flying over Lake Baikal. That's where it collapsed. All those who were in control room at the time were later interrogated by KGB investigators. They took a non-disclosure agreement from all of them. It has been taken before, but the severity in this case was such that one day pilot Aletin, who blabbed about what was heard in the control room and was considered almost one of the best airship commanders in the Soviet Union, he barely managed to stay in the squadron. And one of the dispatchers was simply imprisoned, and also, as they say, for disclosing what he heard on the air. Aletin told colleagues that fishermen fishing in the Baikal waters saw that a falling plane was chasing a certain luminous object, and it carried the Tushka literally to the water surface. The fishermen managed to see it quite closely. The Tushka, Tu-104 aircraft, that crashed into Baikal is not in the register or the log of squadron losses. More precisely, there is data, but it's strictly classified, even in our times. What an interesting case, and to me it reminded of the Valentich case in Australia, but let's move on now to the Muisky district. Residents of this area often observe white balls or spheres in the sky. The Parama Rapids is located on the Vitim River. No one will ever calculate how many risky people died during all this time, who decided to cross the rapids on a raft, boat, or kayak. How many human souls it absorbed in its foaming, madly dancing waves? Well, in August 2011, okay, a tourist group from Vladivostok engaged in extreme sports came to the Parama Rapids at night. They witnessed the appearance of bright white spheres above the water, which moved silently through the air while changing their shape and velocity of movement. But in the winter of 2009, a resident in the village of Taximo witnessed the same phenomenon during a job trip to the site in the same place. Several glowing spheres were also floating in the air. In February of 2011, at night, the same glowing spheres were observed over the mountains near the Ulga station. On September 9, 2011, the watchman of the Modus Aui Prospect Enterprise went out to inspect the territory at 5 o'clock in the morning and saw, according to approximate calculations, 20 spheres, 20, they said balloons, flying one after another in the direction of Severomuisk in the sky. The caretaker of the former Lesnaya Polyana Cafe in the area of the 6 kilometer of the Taxima-Bodaibo highway also noticed glowing objects. And the press service of the Muisky District Administration reported it at that time. Now, over Aragada, the Kurumkam district, Russian police officers participated in the search for an aircraft. A distress signal from which was received late on August 14 near the village of Argada. Information about the emergency posted on the official website of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Buryatia was extremely stingy for information, should I say. On August 14 and 23:20 hours at the Barguzinsky duty station of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Russia, they received a message from the dispatcher of the Search and Rescue Coordination Center at Tolmacheva Airport in Novosibirsk about the receipt of a distress signal from an aircraft 5 kilometers northeast of Argada village, Kurumkan district. A group of rescuers moved to the specified area. It included representatives of emergency services and police officers. A search is underway. The press service of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Republic of Buryatia could not provide any details of the incident. Later, the information that the signal was false was confirmed. The party checked the location by coordinates. The information was false. There are no traces of the crash. There are cases when signals from beacons can be reflected and come to almost any place on Earth. A similar case occurred in the Irkutsk region. There, the signal was received twice from the Belaya area, and the check also showed that it was false. A representative of the Ministry of Emergency Situations of Buryatia said at the briefing at the time. According to the representative of the department, this situation is marked for the first time in 70 years. 10 people, police and firefighters, were engaged in the search. That's all we know. But I think Russian researchers are not buying it. Now, above Alkhon, well, in the summer of the year 1971, and I urge you to listen very carefully to this report, a Leningrad engineer by the name of Georgy Filipov, his wife and 15-year-old son, decided to visit Lake Baikal. They took with them a homemade inflatable sailing raft, more precisely 3 inflatable floats and a Dakron sail. Knowing about the treachery of the Baikal winds, they also picked a homemade paddle motor. The family chose Alkhon Island as their main base. You want to know more about the Baikal? Look at my other videos about the geography and strange phenomena there, so you understand what we're talking about. Let me continue. Here are excerpts from Georgy Filipov's diary, where he describes a unique phenomenon that his family observed. We decided to limit ourselves to sailing around the island, sticking to land only for lunch and overnight stays. We intended to move no more than a kilometer away from the shore so that if the weather worsened, we could quickly take cover. Considering that a night breeze would start after sunset, which could carry us away from the coast, we tried to return before dark. And only on the 5th day of our trip, relying on the engine, we broke this rule in order to meet the sunset on the water. When the sun went down, we decided to return to the shore. I tried to start the engine, but it absolutely would not start. In such a case, there were 2 oars on board, but they had to be rowed standing up. I decided to set a sail as well, so that it could get at least a little extra thrust before the wind direction changed. It quickly got dark and the coast stood out faintly against the already dark sky. Since we were rowing with our faces turned towards it, we did not notice the beginning of the phenomenon, and only the exclamation of the wife made us look around. What we saw was so unexpected that we were mesmerized by an unprecedented sight. About half a kilometer behind us, 3 luminous columns rose up from the lake, forming an almost regular pyramid. With their height when their height reached about 100 meters, we noticed a black triangular platform on their tops against the darkening sky. Then the ends of the columns that were in the water suddenly broke away from its surface and began to rise rapidly, and the platform itself seemed to hover in one place. The columns synchronously pulled into the platform and turned into 3 bright white lights located at its edges. For a few seconds after that, the platform continued to hang motionless and then rushed in the opposite direction from the shore and disappeared over the horizon. All this phantasmagoria took place in complete silence. Neither I nor my friends, to whom I later told about this case, had any idea what kind of strange phenomenon we were observing. In the summer of 1984, a group of hydrogeologists observed a triangle flying at an insignificant altitude, according to the observers no more than 300 meters above the water, almost in the center of the lake. Remember, the swimmers, the underwater humanoids incidents happened 2 years before that. In May of 1990, the same phenomenon was observed by residents of the village of Hujir on Alkhoni, and in early September 1998, a black triangle flying high in the sky was observed by a resident of the village of Barguzin, Potapov. Now, let's go to another location. In April of 1996, Zykov, a resident of the village of Goryachinsk, was engaged in ice fishing on the lake about 2 meters from the shore. His brother was nearby, and 2 other fishermen were a little further away. About 2 o'clock in the afternoon, he suddenly felt the ice tremble, and there was a loud crash, and the ice under the feet shook. Far from the fishermen, a fountain of water or steam burst out from under the ice, and a vague body of indeterminate shape and color soared into the sky. Now, 1992, over the Gulf of Sor. In June of that year, a group of students from the Institute of Technology were vacationing in the area of Sor. At night, I think it's bay is the correct description of it. At night, they found a strange glow in the water, the source of which was at depth down below. At first, they were bright flashes. Then they turned into a glowing circle gliding across the surface of the water. The students were in a boat, and their radio was working at medium waves frequencies. As the circle approached the boat, strong interference appeared in the air, which stopped when the circle moved away. the total time to observe this phenomenon was about 5 minutes. Now please see my original video about the Baikal humanoids. Check the description in this video for the URL. And finally, in the year 2000, a group of students from the Ural Polytechnic Institute visited the same place, and they didn't know anything about the observation of their comrades. On the night of July 2nd to July 3rd, they were sitting by the campfire on the shore. Suddenly, far away in the lake, a blue-white ray rose into the sky, which suddenly curved, forming something like an arch. Then the arch turned into an ellipse and began to rise vertically upwards. Things are happening in the lake, and I try to bring you updates often and as much as I can from many different directions, from many different sciences, because definitely there is attention to the lake from law enforcement of Russia, and I'm sure from others. And I'll keep bringing you this information. If you like my videos, please support my research to the links you will find in the description to this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Make sure they notify you. And please like my videos. Thank you.